All right, so today we're going deep on Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And most people probably think they have him figured out right.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Like we think we know the businessman, the TV guy, the former president.
Right.
But we're going to go kind of past all that today.
Okay.
We're going to look at some of the lesser known stuff
Interesting.
to get a fuller picture of this guy.
I like it.
And the thing that really got me when I was reading this stuff was like all these little details
Yeah.
actually kind of help you understand like the bigger picture.
Oh, absolutely. It's like you're putting together a puzzle, right?
Right.
And each of these little facts is a piece. And when you start to put them together, you get a much clearer image of the whole person.
Yeah, totally. So let's start with something I bet most people don't know.
Okay.
Trump actually wanted to be a movie star,
He did. Really wanted to be in the movies.
and he even made a cameo in Home Alone 2.
Yeah, can you believe that? For someone so focused on business and later politics, it's pretty wild to think about him on the silver screen.
Yeah, like it's so surprising.
Right.
It makes me wonder, like, was this desire for the spotlight, was that always kind of there with him?
Well, it seems so, yeah. I mean, think about his involvement with the WWE. He actually wrestled Vince McMahon.
Wait, what?
Yeah, at WrestleMania 23.
No
He
way.
did. Talk about blurring the lines between entertainment and business, right?
That is so Trump, right? The showman.
Absolutely. Always got to be the center of attention.
And I guess you could say that kind of led to The Apprentice, right?
Oh, for sure. That reality TV show really took it to the next level.
And it totally shaped his public image.
Totally gave us that famous "you're fired"
Yeah.
catchphase.
You're fired.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think it's interesting, like The Apprentice really let him cultivate this image of like the decisive leader, the boss.
Yeah, the ultimate boss, right? It was
Yeah.
almost like a rehearsal for his political career in a way.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah. It gave him a platform to really hone that persona of the strong leader who makes tough decisions.
Wow. Okay, ready for another like mind-blowing fact?
Yeah, right?
Trump doesn't drink alcohol,
It is surprising, right? Considering all the fancy parties and the image and all that.
especially with his image. So-
Yeah. But he often talks about his brother's struggles with alcoholism as his reasoning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
But okay, get this. He launched his own vodka brand.
he did. It's kind of funny when you think about it, right?
It's wild. So contradictory.
Yeah, on the surface it does seem that way. But from a purely business perspective, it makes sense. He saw a market opportunity, a chance to make some money, even if he wasn't personally a consumer of the product.
Yeah.
It speaks to his entrepreneurial mindset, always looking for the next deal.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about Trump the businessman a little bit. All right.
We got to talk about the golf courses.
Oh, yeah. His golf empire is impressive.
He owns like over 17 worldwide.
That's right. Not just a hobby for him. It's a big part of his, business portfolio.
It's like serious business.
And, it's easy to get caught up in all the headlines and the controversies, but Trump has been a successful businessman for a long time. Back in 1982, he was even listed as the richest person in America by Forbes.
Whoa, seriously?
Yep.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was a different time, obviously, and his wealth has fluctuated over the years, but it's still a pretty remarkable achievement.
So how did what led to that level of wealth so early on?
Well, his early ventures were primarily in real estate. He had a knack for identifying undervalued properties,
Okay.
particularly in New York City,
Yeah.
and transforming them into, really lucrative assets. So that's really what propelled him to the top of the Forbes list. It cemented his image as a deal maker, a shrewd negotiator. And that image, of course, became a key part of his personal brand. So real estate's like the foundation of the Trump empire.
Pretty much, yeah. That's where he made his initial fortune and really built his reputation.
But his business dealings haven't been without controversy,
Right.
especially when it comes to his taxes.
That's true. His decision to keep his tax records private has been a point of contention for many years. It's a complicated issue with valid arguments on both sides.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about his personal life.
All right.
Did you know that he was almost sent to military school at 13?
I did. It's a fascinating little detail, isn't it? I've often wondered how that might have shaped his views on discipline and leadership.
I know, right? Like, it makes you think.
Yeah, it does.
He often talks about, the importance of structure and strong authority figures. And it's interesting to think that maybe some of those views were influenced by that experience.
Yeah, for sure. It adds a layer of complexity to our understanding of him.
For sure.
He's often portrayed as, this rebellious figure who doesn't play by the rules. But this suggests, a more complex background.
Yeah, like maybe there's more to the story.
Exactly. It's not always black and white,
Right, right.
Yeah.
It's like there are shades of gray.
Totally.
And that complexity also applies to his political journey as well. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, remember we were saying he was a Democrat for a good chunk of his life
Mm-hmm.
before switching parties. And it makes you wonder, like, what were those turning points?
Yeah. What were those moments that led to that shift? It's a fascinating question to consider. What factors influenced his political evolution?
It makes it way more interesting than just a straight line, right?
Oh, absolutely. There were twists and turns.
Mm.
And that's what makes, studying someone like Trump so interesting. There's always more to discover, more to analyze.
Speaking of complexities, let's talk about his marriages.
Okay.
3 in total, culminating in Melania as First Lady.
That's right.
His personal life has been under, like, constant media scrutiny, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's another aspect of his story that often gets intertwined with his public persona.
Yeah.
It's hard to separate the man from the myth.
Oh, I like it.
Right. The private life from the public spectacle.
I know, right? And this actually reminds me of something else that I think really captures the Trump persona.
What's that?
His gold-plated jet.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
That thing is iconic.
It's so extravagant. It's over the top. It's so Trump.
It's a symbol of his wealth, his ambition, his unapologetic embrace of luxury, right? It fits into that larger than life image that he's cultivated over the years. It's all part of the brand.
I love it. It's amazing. Okay, so, we've talked about how he's this, like, larger than life figure,
Yeah.
but he also has these, like, surprisingly down-to-earth qualities.
Interesting.
Did you know he's a huge fan of fast food?
I did. Big Macs, fries, Diet Coke. Yes.
Yes.
It's kind of funny when you contrast that with the image of, the billionaire with the gold-plated jet.
Yeah, it's such a funny contrast. It's so unexpected.
But maybe that's part of his appeal, right?
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
It's that idea that, he's still relatable in a way. He
Yeah.
enjoys those simple pleasures that, a lot of us do. Or maybe it's a calculated move, who knows?
Yeah.
A way to connect with, a wider audience. It's tough to say for sure, but it definitely adds another layer to the puzzle.
It's like the man is full of surprises.
He is.
And that's what makes, like, digging into these lesser known facts so interesting.
Oh, totally.
They challenge our assumptions and they force us to look beyond, just the surface level.
Absolutely. It's about peeling back those layers and seeing the full picture.
Well, we've covered a lot already.
We have.
And there's still so much more to unpack.
I know, right? This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Stay tuned, because we're just getting started with our deep dive into the world of Donald Trump.
There's so much more to come. It feels like we're really just starting to understand him,
Yeah, totally. It's like all these little details are adding up to something much bigger.
Exactly.
Speaking of details, I want to go back to that thing about him almost going to military school.
Oh, yeah, at 13.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, how do you think that might have affected him?
Well, military school, it's a pretty intense experience, right? Especially at that age.
Yeah.
It really instills a certain sense of discipline, structure, respect for authority.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can definitely see those qualities in Trump's leadership style.
Right. Like, it's a different way to think about where those traits come from.
Absolutely. It adds a whole new layer.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just, oh, that's just his personality, It's like, oh, maybe some of this comes from this really formative experience he had.
Okay, so we're getting this more complex picture of him
Right.
than just the brash, rebellious figure.
Exactly.
And I feel like that complexity applies to his political journey, too, right? Remember how we were talking about how he was a Democrat for a long time before switching parties?
Yeah.
I mean, that just makes his political evolution so much more interesting.
Oh, for sure. It wasn't a straight line.
Yeah, he was like,
There were twists and turns, and that's what makes, trying to understand someone like Trump so fascinating.
yeah.
There's always more to uncover, more layers to peel back. It's
Wow.
not just about the surface level stuff.
Right. It's about going deeper.
Exactly. Understanding the deeper motivations, influences.
Okay, well, let's switch gears for a sec. Let's talk about his failed attempt to buy an NFL team.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it seems like his ambitions went way beyond just, business and entertainment.
They did. He tried to buy the New England Patriots.
What?
Yeah, back in the early 80s.
No way.
But it didn't work out.
Oh.
The deal fell through.
Okay.
But he did end up owning a team in the USFL, which was like a rival league at the time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So even though, he didn't make it into the NFL,
Yeah.
he still got to be a part of the professional football world.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And I think it shows his, persistence.
Oh, the total.
That drive to succeed.
Yeah.
Like he sets his sights on something and he just keeps going for it, even if he has to take a different path to get there.
Right. He finds a way.
Exactly.
And that kind of ties back to what we were talking about earlier.
What's that?
His willingness to take risks.
Oh, absolutely.
To make these bold moves.
Yeah.
It's like the theme throughout his entire career.
Totally. From real estate to reality TV, he never shied away from a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like he thrives on it.
It seems that way, yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of bold moves,
All right.
we got to talk about the Plaza Hotel.
Oh, yeah. That was a major moment.
It was like the Guinness World Record for the largest real estate deal in U.S. history at the time.
That's right. He really made a statement with that one.
Yeah, it was like...
It solidified his status.
It's like...
Yeah, as a real estate mogul, like on a global scale,
Yeah.
the Plaza Hotel, it's such a landmark.
Totally.
And for him to acquire it,
Yeah.
really cemented his legacy in the world of real estate.
And probably contributed to his, wealth and fame at the time.
Oh, without a doubt. It captured everyone's attention. It was the deal everyone was talking about.
Yeah, totally.
And it really fueled his reputation as like a master negotiator, a deal maker.
It's wild to think about all these different parts of his life.
I know.
The businessman, the entertainer,
Yeah.
the, almost athlete.
Mm-hmm. The politician.
Yeah. They all come together to create this
Complex.
yeah, and sometimes contradictory figure.
Absolutely. That's what makes him so interesting to try and understand. He doesn't fit neatly into any box.
Right.
He's full of surprises, and I bet there's still more to learn.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing here with this deep dive.
I love it.
It's a chance to go beyond the headlines and really explore all the nuances of this, this truly unique individual.
As we keep going with this, I keep coming back to this question.
What's that?
Is he like this master strategist who carefully crafted, this whole persona?
Yeah.
Or is he just being himself?
Ooh, good question.
Like flaws and all.
That's a tough one.
Right.
And it's a question we may never have a definitive answer to.
Yeah.
But maybe that's part of what makes him so compelling, right?
Yeah.
It's the mystery, the enigma.
Right.
The push and pull between who he is publicly and who he is privately.
Maybe it's not about like finding the answer.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more about just appreciating how complex he is.
I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's not about reducing him to a caricature or a
Yeah.
soundbite.
It's about seeing the whole picture.
Exactly. Understanding him as this multifaceted individual that he is.
Yes. And that's what we're trying to do here.
Absolutely.
So, as we continue to explore the world of Donald Trump,
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember
What's that?
that even someone as well known as him
Mm-hmm.
still has, hidden depths.
For sure.
And by digging into those depths,
Yeah.
I think we can gain a much deeper understanding of,
Who he really is.
like the real Donald Trump.
It's crazy. Like, we spend so much time focusing on the extremes with him.
I don't even.
Like the crazy lifestyle, the things he says, the headlines.
Still kind of in your face, yeah.
Yeah. But then through all these little facts we've been talking about,
Right.
we get this way more nuanced picture.
Yeah, it's like we were looking at this flat image before, and now it's becoming 3D.
Exactly.
We're seeing the depth.
Yeah, and even the things that seem kind of small
Mm-hmm.
can tell us so much about him,
Absolutely. They give us clues about what makes him tick.
Like the fast food thing.
I know, right?
It's so funny. Like the guy with the gold jet loves a Big Mac.
It's those little things that remind you he's human,
Yeah, totally.
Hmm.
And it makes me wonder, what's that?
Is he doing this on purpose?
What do you mean?
Like, is it all part of some big plan
Oh, interesting.
to be, like, super fancy but also relatable?
You're wondering if it's a strategy.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Is he a mastermind or just being himself?
I don't know. Maybe it's both.
Could be.
But either way, it's fascinating.
Absolutely. I think that's the big takeaway from all this.
What do you mean?
Trump doesn't fit in a box.
Yeah, for sure.
He's not just one thing.
He's a businessman. He's on TV. He was almost an athlete.
He was in politics.
It's like he's done it all.
It makes him really hard to pin down, and that's what makes him so interesting to study.
Yeah, and I think by looking at these less-known facts, we get a better idea of what made him who he is.
Totally. What drives him, what he wants.
And why he's so full of contradictions.
Yeah, it's been like this amazing journey.
I know, right?
Peeling back the layers, seeing behind the curtain.
And we've learned that there's so much more to him.
Than just the headlines and the sound bites.
So as we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with something to think about.
What's that?
What really stood out to you about Trump?
Yeah, what surprised you the most?
And did it change how you see him?
Keep thinking about it.
And join us next time for another deep dive.